I'm James Jurgens. I am a senior at Oklahoma State University.
Hi, I'm Jermey Bryan. I'm also a senior here at OSU. We went with the name of Where's Waldo because when we were both children, our parents really enjoyed having us find the Where's Waldo in all of the books. So when we were tasked at the beginning of the year with the scavenger hunt, we both agreed and decided that it brought back our childhood memories of Where's Waldo. So that's how we came up with our name.
We're here to talk to you today about the project development that we are building in Oklahoma City. Here is the proposed layout of that project.
Here you can see there's two different office buildings. We have an office building A and B, which will be later talked about.
Yeah. Moving on. Our cost alternatives, we went down and broke it down by location, size, and time. We found indexes for each of those and then compared them with the different locations, Dallas, Texas, and St. Louis, Missouri. These are this is the original site of Oklahoma City. As you can see, building A is proposed to be 25,000 square feet. Building B is supposed to be 20,000 square feet, and the total site is about 100 acres. Dallas, Texas, you can see it would be built in 4 years, and it's actually a little bit bigger across the board than the Oklahoma City site, totaling 120 acres there. The St. Louis site is actually a little smaller across the board, and it would be built in 5 years as opposed to 4. Here we have charts that show a cost comparison that we calculate with the indexes. The Dallas indexes actually ended up being a little bit bigger. The location was just like 1.004, so it didn't make much of a difference. And the St. Louis indexes were bigger across the board, except for its site. It was actually 0.75, so significantly smaller. And you can kind of see that trend across the board here, where Dallas tends to be the most expensive, and followed by St. Louis, and then Oklahoma City being the cheapest. Here you can see the totals, which shows you exactly what I just explained. Oklahoma City is the cheapest, Dallas is the most expensive. Yeah, that's that. Here we have our work breakdown structure. Well, work breakdown structure, President's Network diagram, and our Gantt chart.
Zoom into that.
Yeah. Can't really see our timeline, but Jermey's going to talk to you about it.
So this was our early start. We have a critical path of starting out with project notice approval, then followed by form project term, or form project team. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then we
right
come
up here.
Then we come down here to in-house design work, followed by the design of building A.
It didn't fit on one page, so you can work with us and kind of follow along. We'd be down here still.
And then we have the mechanical and electrical. Well, this is the mechanical and electrical of building A.
Never mind.
I think those are in there. They're not. Followed by the building A design review. And then we shoot all the way up to
Follow right here.
the project design is complete. And then we go to procure the contractor's bid. After that, we're gonna have the industrial and maintenance of building A.
Shoots back down.
Shoots back down to the foundation / the structural of building A. Then come over to the plumbing, heating, and air of building A. Then the architectural finishes of building A. Followed by the final inspection and approval.
Crossed. Oh wow.
Sorry, that's really blurry. The project end date is proposed to be Wednesday, March 3rd of 2021. That's the early start.
What was the start date?
The start date is Monday, November 4th, 2019.
There we go. Here we have our Gantt charts. They're again blurry, but you can kind of see our critical path. Anything else?
No, it's a hot mess.
Yeah, it is really
There's a
hard
lot
to read.
going on.
Just
We
have
were allocated about 30 workers to work on this.
Gantt chart.
Oh, okay, Gantt chart. This is the Gantt chart for the late start. As you see, it moved around a little bit. Moved a lot more things down here at the end to be worked on at the same time instead of spreading it out. Project end date was still the same.
Really? Here we have our project tracking, which will have a histogram that compares our early and our late starts, and then we'll have a weekly cost versus time graph. I don't know.
So we're having
what
some
it was.
technical difficulties, bear with us.
And then followed by our resource allocation. So here are our histograms, much easier to read.
So here we have the early weekly. We broke this down into weeks. According to this many weeks, 73 weeks. The money over there on the other axis. So we here with the early start, we have more of a middle-ish kind of distribution, but we have a very high weekly cost somewhere here in the middle. And then when we go over to the late weekly, you can see that it's a little more distributed, not quite as expensive in 1 week, but you can see that it was all pushed back into the last third of the project, which is now what we're probably wanting to go for, wanting to go with a more evenly distributed weekly cost.
Here's our cost versus time graph.
Here we have, you can see the blue line, this would be our early start, which you can see that it is probably the highest here, kind of in the middle.
It's a bit more expensive.
And then here with our orange line here, we have our late start, which I was talking about. It's a little more distributed evenly, costs a little less, but then here at the beginning it really spikes, or here at the end it really spikes up. And then our targeted cost is here, this gray line. That would be the most ideal thing that we can do. Here we have our earned value graphs. We can see that the
If you focus on the numbers more than the graphs, it
they
might
make a
more
little
sense.
more sense. Little more sense. But
This is just where our project ends. The graph doesn't cut off for some reason, but that's what that is. Same thing with this big drop off. What does this compare?
this isn't where it indices
Cost
over
and
time.
schedule.
Yeah, cost and schedule performance. Here, this orange line is showing that we're where we're supposed to be. If you can see these negative numbers like this, that means that we're actually ahead.
Yeah. That's that. Here's our
I mentioned
worker allocation.
mentioned a little bit about the allocation. We had a total of 30 workers that could work at one time. Various workers could work on each job. This was before allocation. We actually had difficulties. We had about 12 things to do that were above the allocation, which is not okay. So then after this we allocated it, and then you can see all the workers that was working at one time. This fits actually pushed our project date back about a month. So we went from March 3rd to April 4th.
And that is our project.
So through all this research and everything that we did and the cost breakdowns and the resource allocations, we can actually use this as a estimation going into previous jobs. This was a really insightful activity to be able to really analyze what the cost of any project in the future would actually be. Is there anything you would like to sum up?
Well, I think it's a good exercise for our future careers where we can use this as kind of a go-by for our own projects. Yeah, that's about all I got. So,
Thank you for listening.
yep, happy to.